budgeting in 2022 with a limited income and during a very high inflationary time. Some money hacks that I want to share with you right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, now I think we can all probably agree the current environment with this inflation and rapidly rising prices on everything is not normal. In fact, the current inflation we are dealing with is the highest inflation we've seen in over 40 years since the early 80s. Well, as a result of that, those people that are diligently working on a budget are getting everything all jacked up right now because the numbers simply don't make sense anymore. Well, as a result of that, in this video, I want to share with you some simple money hacks so we can all make our way through this high inflationary time and ultimately come out the other side of this a little bit better off. So let's get into it and discuss all the details. And this is likely going to be a multi-part series simply because there's so many moving parts about this, and I want to make sure that I lay it out in such an effective manner that this is going to help you out in 2022, 2023, and many more years to come into the future, so your finances are set up and that you can have financial freedom, or at least get by each and every month, not scraping by paycheck to paycheck like so many people are, unfortunately, right now. So let's get into it and discuss all these details. However, really fast before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button right down below the video, as I'm here for you each and every day, and I truly want to help you out in any way that I possibly can with your money, your finances, budgeting, or anything else going on right now. There's a lot of moving parts, but I'm here for you in any way that I can. So again, please make sure to subscribe down below, and let's get into it and discuss some simple money hacks and what you need to start implementing immediately during this very high inflationary time, and ultimately so we can all make it through this and make it out the other side. All right, so as I said, this is going to be a multi-part series. Therefore, we're going to start out a little bit simple in this one, but believe it or not, these are a few basic things that the vast majority of people don't even do. Just implementing these couple things that I'm going to share with you right here in this video, I guarantee you, if you're not doing it, it will change your financial life in a huge, huge, huge way. And like I said, the vast majority of people don't even do this. So I promise you, if you start implementing this, if you stick to it for a period of time, whether it's a few weeks, a month or two, you're going to start to get momentum, you're going to get excited about it, and I promise you, it will change your financial life, okay? So let's get into the details. Number one, we first need to understand what is your income and what are your expenses. Okay, I know this is super basic, but the deal is you need to understand this because the vast majority of people don't have a clue how much money they're spending each month. You might know what your income is, which, by the way, do not leave your income down below. It's not my business, and it's nobody else's business how much you are earning or how much money you're bringing in every single month. So first off, we need to figure out what is your income, and then we need to figure out what are your expenses. So you probably know what your income is, but figure out what your income is from all sources. Maybe you get a little bit of money from a job. Maybe you get a little bit of dividend payments. Maybe you get a little bit of rental income. Whatever your income in, it does not matter. Take all income that comes into you, even interest on a bank account. Let's just say you have $1,000 saved and you're getting 1% interest. If you get $1 of interest, make sure that you're marking that down. You want all income coming into you on a monthly basis. And yes, mark it down to the penny. This is going to be very important going forward. And I know it probably sounds like this guy's crazy. He wants us to pay attention to the pennies. Yes, I want you to pay attention to the pennies because here's the thing. If you don't pay attention to the pennies, you're not going to pay attention to the dollars, okay? This is very important to start. All right, so number one, figure out your income. How much money are you bringing in a monthly basis? Figure that out, write it down, and get that number very, very clear. And again, if it oscillates a little bit, that's okay. Get an idea of what this is, write it down for the last couple months here, and write it down for the current month and every month going forward. Next, we need to figure out what are your expenses. So again, this could be everything. So you might want to go through your bank accounts, maybe your debit card, maybe your credit cards, any kind of cash that you're spending. If you can go back retroactively and go through your bank accounts, your credit cards, whatever kind of ways that you can figure out how much you're spending, go back as many months as you can. Ideally, more months is better. Now, if you're spending cash as well, that's a little bit more difficult to track. What I would highly recommend going forward is keep a little notebook in your pocket, in your backpack, in your purse, somewhere near you. Anytime that you spend cash or something that is not easily traceable, make sure to mark it down. Again, this is for you to reference. It's not for anybody else to look at. Things like this is just for you to better your financial situation. So if you can, go back retroactively and figure out how much are you spending every single month. So again, this would be, going through and kind of figuring out through all of your different cards and bank accounts, things like this, and trying to get a good grip on how much you've been spending. Now, again, if you don't have a good grip on this and if you cannot go back in history and look at all this, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Start today. Don't start tomorrow. Don't start next week. Start right now, today, as of right now. So every single day, write this down. Give a very clear picture of every single penny that you are spending. Again, I know, sounds kind of crazy that I'm saying even mark down the pennies. Yes, the pennies are very important right now. You need to know exactly where the pennies are going. It's very important. Again, at some point in the future, we can kind of ease up on this a little bit. We don't need to mark down the pennies in the future, but to start out, you need to mark down the pennies, because if you don't, it's not going to give you a good, clear depiction of where your money's going, right? It's going to be a diluted picture. Therefore, we need to get a very, very clear picture, every single penny. I know, sounds crazy, but the deal is, if you do this, I promise you, your life will change when it comes down to your finances. All right, so now that we know what your income is, and now that we know what your expenses are, okay? Again, if you have a clear picture of your expenses over the last few months here, great. If you don't know, that's okay. Start tracking it now. Every single penny that you spend on a credit card, a debit card, cash, whatever it happens to be, all money that you are spending, mark it down. Okay, so now we need to figure out, let's just say, for example, let's just say that we fast forwarded, say, 2 months from now, right? So by the way, I want you to do this for at least 3 months, because here's why. As we track our expenses and our income for 1 month, okay, good. It gives us a little snapshot. But guess what? Next month is going to be different. And guess what? The month after that is going to be different again. If you can do this for 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, something like this, the longer the time frame, the better, because it kind of smooths out the averages, right? Because let's just say 1 month you might spend $1,000. Next month you might spend $1,200. The month after that you might spend $1,300. The month after that you might spend $900. So again, it gives us kind of a range, and it smooths out some of these averages. So again, the longer the time period that you can track your income and your expenses, the better off you're going to be. So I'd highly recommend doing that going forward. All right, so now that we have all this tracked down, let's just say that we hypothetically fast forward, say 3 months from right now. Okay, cool. You got a pretty good picture of what's going on here. What I want you to do, and you can do this as you work your way through this, and maybe if you have, let's just say, a notebook or something, however you're tracking all these expenses, I would actually suggest doing this on a daily basis, because it'll just make your life so much easier when it comes down to the end of the month. I want you to categorize your expenses. Number 1, necessities, okay? So let's just say, for example, you pay your rent. It's $1,000. Great. Mark $1,000 into the necessities category. Now, again, you could say, well, wait, rent really isn't necessity. Well, okay, it's based on your opinions, but in my opinion, rent is a necessity, because you got to have a place to live, right? So again, in this case, put it as a necessity. And again, it's all down to your personal discretion of where you're going to limit this stuff and where you're going to categorize it. But categorize all of your expenses here. So that was just one example. Rent, again, necessities. Maybe you go out to grab coffee with a friend. Okay, you might think, well, I need to see my friend. It's a necessity. Sorry, it's not a necessity, okay? I'm just saying with you, being real with you right now. Going out to grab a $6 cup of coffee with your friend is not a necessity. Put that into the wants category, okay? The either wants or the discretionary category. You could kind of keep this as one category, or you could break it up into 2 separate categories. Doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is, it's more of like a discretionary spend. You did it, you didn't really need to do it, but you did it anyway, right? So this is kind of the category as in the wants/discretionary that you could easily cut down if you wanted to. And again, I'm not here to tell you to start cutting down your spending. I'm simply saying track your spending. This is number 1, because before you can make any substantial changes in your finances, you need to figure out where's your money going. And like I said at the beginning of this video, the vast majority of people don't track their expenses and don't have a clue where their money is going. Well, I'm sorry, but that is the huge problem that a lot of people are dealing with is if you don't know where your money's going, it's really hard to change your finances if you can't track where it's going. That's why I'm saying it is so important to track this and to figure out where your money is going, number 1. All right, so as you continue to work your way through the month, through the days, through the weeks, through the months, things like this, continue to track your expenses and put them into the necessary categories. Again, necessities, want/discretionary, and let's just say at the end of the month you have an extra, a little bit of money left, $100 left, $1,000 left. $200 left, $3 left, doesn't matter what it is, and you don't have a home for it, well, guess what? Put it into savings. That is another category right there. So again, each person is going to have different categories here, but I would highly recommend kind of breaking it down into just a small handful of categories, maybe like 3 or 4 categories. Don't get too crazy with 20 different categories. You're just going to make it way more complicated than it needs to be. All you really need to figure out here during this first period of this is just figure out what is a necessity and what is a want/discretionary, and how much money am I putting away into savings. These are the things that you need to understand. And again, you could have 3 categories, you could have 4 categories, but I wouldn't go much more than that, okay? If you come out with 10 categories, you're literally just going to confuse yourself. You're going to make this to be way more difficult than it is to be, and you're going to make it way more labor intensive than what it needs to be, and you're probably going to get turned off by the process pretty fast, because do you really want to read through 10 different categories and feel like, oh, I put, $3 of gas in my car, and I bought, I bought a 20 liter of pop, or no, not 20 liter, 20 ounce, sorry. 20 liter would be a ton of liquid. 20 ounce. I bought a 20 ounce bottle of pop soda, whatever you call it, at the gas station. And again, the gas would be a necessity, whereas the little drink might be actually a discretionary, because really, did you need to get it? Again, that's everybody's opinion, but I would put that into the want/discretionary category. So just break it down into that. Now, what I want you to do, continue tracking this for, like I said, a few weeks, a couple months. The longer time period, the better. You're going to start to see very clearly where your money is going. Okay, this is the most important picture that you need to paint here, because once you start painting this picture here and you start to see where your money is flowing, now you know where you can start making some cuts, and or you can make some adjustments to your budget. Now, again, too, I want to point this out there. No budget is going to be perfect from the very start. I can promise you that. So if you start doing this process for, say, a month, 2 months, 3 months, something like this, you can adjust as necessary. You do not need to make a perfect budget from the very start. It does not need to be perfect by any means. The fact of the matter is, starting is the most important part. You can adjust as you go, just like with everything. A workout routine, meeting new friends, literally, it does not matter what it is. A relationship, seriously, you're always adjusting, right? Everything that you have in your life, you're probably adjusting to some degree on a regular basis. Same thing goes with a budget. It does not need to be perfect from the very start. So I would highly recommend starting to implement this process. And then again, we can come back here, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss any videos going forward. And again, let's continue on with this process, but I would highly recommend to start with this first, and then we can get into some better, more advanced strategies going forward as far as what to do. Now that you've got, say, 3 months under your belt or 2 months under your belt of tracking, okay, great. Now what? What do I do with this information? That's a good question, because that's what we're going to get into in the next video, which is what to do now that you have a couple months worth of tracking of your income, your expenses, and your savings. That's when we need to make a few adjustments, because I guarantee you, within the expenses that you have on an ongoing monthly basis, there's a few things in there, I guarantee it, that you could look at and say, I really didn't need that. I just happened to be in the moment, and I happen to buy this one thing, and it's going to add up to a decent amount of money. And again, you can translate that into something that's more of a necessity, and or you can put that into a savings. Now again, I like to look at the situation being, and again, this is just me personally, I would rather sometimes skip some of the discretionaries or the wants today so I can put more in savings so I can have more tomorrow. Does that make sense? But that's just me. Some people live for today and want all the little things today, whereas for me, I'm more of a big picture thinker, whereas I look and say, I don't need the $6 coffee today. I'm good. I'll pass on the bottle of pop from the gas station today so that I can have something bigger and better tomorrow. Does that make sense? And again, that's just me. It's different for everybody. Maybe you're somebody that likes the little things each and every day. That's totally fine. Doesn't matter. We don't need to be the same. We all have our own personalities. We all have our own unique features. That's totally fine. No problem with that at all. I'm just telling you how I like to do it with my personal life. So I like to step over the little things each day to go for the bigger ones tomorrow. Again, that's just how I do it. But again, let's come back in the next video here and we can talk about the next step as far as where to go once we have a couple months of tracking down. And again, I'll continue to be here throughout this process and to help you kind of work your way through this, because I guarantee it, as you continue to get through this process, you might start to get motivated, but I want to really encourage you to continue on with this process. And I promise you, if you continue to do this for a couple months, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, you track your income, you track your expenses, all things like this, and once we make some actionable changes on this, some actionable steps on this, I guarantee you, your finances are going to change in a really big way, and you're going to be pretty excited, okay? So let's come back in a separate video and talk about the next step once you have those couple months worth of tracking down, what to do next, and some more money hacks as far as how you can continue to improve your finances, and you don't even need to do anything with your income. By all means, if you can increase your income, great, but if you keep the same income, doesn't matter. You're going to have all kinds of money left over and that you can start working with. So anyway, make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out some of the other thousands of videos right here on the channel. Thanks again for watching this. I appreciate it. Until next time, have a nice day. Wishing you the best of luck with this, and I'm excited to read through the comment section and see the progress that many of you are making with this process going forward over the coming days, weeks, and months. And of course, leave your comments, questions, and feedback down below, and I'll do my best to read them and of course respond to as many as possible. All right, thanks again. Subscribe, share, and go back and check out the other videos, and I'll catch you again later in the next video.